this is Robbie Parker, and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2012 movie, The Amazing Spider-Man. So in this movie, Peter Parker is an outcast high schooler abandoned by his parents as a boy, leaving him to be raised by his Uncle Ben and Aunt May. Like most teenagers, Peter is trying to figure out who he is and how he got to be the person he is today. As Peter discovers a mysterious briefcase that belonged to his father, he begins a quest to understand his parents' disappearance, leading him directly to Oscorp and the lab of Dr. Kirk Connors, his father's former partner. As Spider-Man is set on a collision course with Connors' alter ego, the Lizard, Peter will make life-altering choices to use his powers and shape his destiny to become a hero. So, I don't really like this movie. It's never been one of my favorite Marvel movies and everything from the day that it came out and everything. And a lot of it is I do have a bias towards Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies and stuff, but this one is just really, really boring. It feels like a rehash of Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie, just told a lot more poorly and not near as good and stuff. The whole subplot of him losing his parents isn't interesting at all, and it goes nowhere at all in either one of these movies and stuff. I think they could have just taken the whole subplot out of both movies, and they would have been better movies alone and everything. And I feel like the origin story isn't even close to as good as it was told in Raimi's original 2002 version, which I have always compared this movie to that version and stuff, because I was very bitter when this movie came out, because I was so mad that they had taken away Tobey Maguire and all that. No Way Home, I feel like Andrew Garfield was the best in that one than he was in any of the movies he was in, but also do feel like he was better in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 than he was in this one as well and everything. I don't, he's my least favorite Spider-Man for sure though, but there are some things I liked about the movie. So before I finish with the negatives, I'll go ahead and do some of the positives. The Stan Lee cameo is pretty cool. I love like the scene when he's dancing in the library while Spider-Man and the Lizard fight behind him. That was pretty funny and stuff, I'll admit. The bridge scene is pretty cool too, where he saves the little kid and everything, although I don't believe Spider-Man would take his mask off and everything, even when he's trying to save the kid like that. I mean, I know Tobey Maguire's did, and that was only because of the burns and stuff that he was having on his face. He would have had on his face if he didn't take it off. This one, he just took it off willingly to help the kid, and I just don't see Spider-Man doing that. But aside from that, that scene was pretty cool. I love scenes in the Spider-Man movies where he's saving people and stuff, and I think that was easily one of the highlights of the movie. Also, I like the fight between Spider-Man and the Lizard that they have throughout the school and in the sewers and stuff. It's pretty well done and everything. It looks pretty awesome. James Horner's score is pretty decent too. It's not near as good as the score that Danny Elfman made for the original Spider-Man trilogy, but it's still pretty good and everything, and fits the movie pretty well. And I also like how Flash Thompson had kind of like a redemption arc and stuff and everything. I did like that too. This is probably my favorite version of Flash Thompson and stuff, although I feel like the classic version from the Raimi movies is my most favorite, my very most favorite, but I do like this version too. Like character wise, I think he's the best written version of Flash Thompson, and he doesn't even really do much in this movie, but the little bit of stuff that he does do, the stuff, especially like when his uncle died and stuff, he just tries to be there for Peter instead of bullying him and stuff. I like that little character arc stuff. And I think Emma Stone was a great choice to play Gwen Stacy. I think she was easily the best casted person out of everybody in here. And I will say, I'm not really big on Mark Webb's directing. There are some cool shots when Spider-Man is swinging and stuff, but really and truly, I'm just not very big on Mark Webb as a director and stuff. I've always felt like he was overrated and stuff when this movie came out. I felt like he was overrated anyway because he was just coming off of 500 Days of Summer, which I thought was an okay movie. I don't think it was near as good as people hyped it up to be, but it was still a pretty decent movie and everything. I think the romance stuff that he had from that translated pretty well with Peter and Gwen in this movie, but that it wasn't like really a highlight of the movie for me. I still thought the romance stuff was still pretty boring too, along with everything else in it. And everything, I just, I'm not that big on this movie and everything. I thought it could have been so much better. I don't really like any of the cast in here, really. I feel like Andrew Garfield does the best he has to work with what he has to work with in this movie, because I do feel like he's better than the other two, but I also feel like the other two are better written movies, even though the second movie does have a lot of flaws as well and everything. But I do feel like if he was given a properly good story and stuff, he would be perfectly fine as Spider-Man, because he did a great job in No Way Home and everything. And I could tell that he was trying in this movie, so I don't really hold anything against him like I used to. I used to not like him just because he wasn't Tobey Maguire, which really wasn't fair to him and stuff. And everything. So all in all, I think The Amazing Spider-Man is a pretty bad movie. Like every time I watch it, I never really enjoy it. It's one that it's like watchable and stuff, but it's also just not very enjoyable, kind of forgettable, kind of boring, and just not really a fun movie. I don't really like the dark setting and stuff, because like the darker tone in it and stuff. They were trying to recapture the Dark Knight, or what they did with the Dark Knight and Batman Begins and stuff, and making comic book movies darker and stuff. Everybody was getting darker reboots and stuff, and this one felt like one of the most unnecessary ones, because Spider-Man doesn't need to be a dark rebooted as a dark character. It just didn't work and everything. And I'm really glad that they ended up rebooting the franchise and stuff again with Tom Holland, because Tom Holland is way better than Andrew Garfield, and I feel like his movies are way better than this and its sequel and everything. So Andrew Garfield is a good Spider-Man, but Amazing Spider-Man is just not a good Spider-Man for me. So and everything, and I'd give it a 2 out of 10. Everything, and that too is mostly towards just the few little scenes that I thought were pretty decent in here. That's really it. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of this movie, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.
Yeah.